I spoke to Bobi Wine 3 days ago. We talked, and Bobi is being frustrated in Uganda. I don't think if that is a campaign season, because you find an aspirant, a potential presidential aspirant, campaigning, putting on bulletproof everywhere, the police trying to prevent him from going to campaign, and that is already breaking of the electoral laws. I want to tell you, my brother, that Bobi is on the right path. I talked to him. I told him that this election, as things are clear, the fact that Museveni has shut down internet in Uganda clearly tells you what is happening. But I want to tell you one thing that I told Bobi. I told Bobi that, that power is like a beautiful lady. She loves to associate with the young who are bold, not the old who are cold.
Absolutely.
Bobi still has a future.
He still has a future.
And in this presidential election, I'm very sure Bobi is going to win.
Let's discuss matters Uganda. And the concern is that whatever we are seeing in the region is now coming very close to home. Kenyans were very much involved in what was happening in Tanzania. They followed the elections with great interest. We're seeing a lot of that being replicated in Uganda as well. And probably the concern is, should we or could we be looking at possibility that this could also happen in our situation in Kenya come next year? The internet shutdown, heightened security, NGOs being suspended. Fwamba, let's start with you.
About Uganda, I think it's a mock of democracy when you are talking about an election, yet you already know the person will be declared the winner. You know, Uganda has not known the best of the leadership. They have not experienced that because they had a very checkered past. If you look at right from independence, where after the Kabaka as a mover, then there was Milton Obote. After Milton Obote, they had an illiterate dictator called Idi Amin, who ruled for almost 9 years with an iron fist. And after that, they had Yusuf Lule and Godfrey Binaisa, who ruled for a number of days. Then there was Basilo Okello, who ruled for 2 days. And then they had Tito Okello, who was equally very illiterate, a general who was overthrown by Museveni. Museveni came in as an intellectual who was a revolutionary, and therefore he was like a messiah. Unfortunately, for the last 40 years, that has seemed to remain the arrangement that the generals who took over in 1986 up to now are the ones who are ruling Uganda with their families. Therefore, democracy looks very elusive in Uganda, and going by the developments that are there right now, like switching off the internet, it's obvious that there is no election that is genuinely happening in Uganda other than just an endorsement of a 7th term. Can you imagine someone ruling now for over 40 years and still wants to rule? So it's unfortunate that democracy in Uganda is elusive and so reflective of the kind of things we are discussing before the end of last year about Tanzania. And for me, that makes Kenya look like a paradise, a democratic paradise, because some of these things are alien to us. And I believe that the kind of democratic gains and space that we enjoy is something that these other neighbors envy us.
Okay. Kathy, the biggest concern from a Kenyan standpoint is the fact that an incumbent, and we've seen this in Tanzania, and now it is expected to happen in Uganda, that an incumbent hell-bent on winning at all costs is allowed to do so. And this is happening in this region, and we will celebrate and congratulate them as well. And many Kenyans are wondering, could that happen here as well?
Good morning, Fred, and thank you for having us again. You know, first of all, I would actually call it a continuing trend, because last year we saw what happened in Tanzania. I mean, for me as an observer, I didn't expect anything better than what is happening in Uganda currently. Because first, the president is dictatorial. I mean, he's one person who comes out very clearly, says certain things without blinking. He goes against the law and he doesn't care. Now, would the same happen in Kenya? I think President William Ruto, from the look of things and what has happened in the past, can attempt to do such things. But, you know, I would like to really remind the government and the people that support that side of government that Kenya is pretty different, because we have a very a good constitution that protects us and our voices. And therefore, if such an attempt is there, you can be sure that this place will be, first of all, ungovernable, and he will not be able to rule through, you know, such means and using the fist. He needs to assure us, he needs to assure Kenyans, and he needs to assure the East African community that he's not intending, he has got no intentions to behave the way Suluhu behaved and to behave the way the president of Uganda, Museveni, is behaving. And why do I say this? Because every time I listen to the members of parliament, and I listened to a former cabinet secretary, I think 2 days ago, who said in Nyeri, where I come from, that ata kura ikikosa kutosha tutaiba. So, I mean, the more they talk about things, the more members of parliament declare that they're going to be declared winners, and it doesn't matter how many votes or how the votes will be cast for the opposition. It is setting the pace, it's setting the stage for chaos, it is setting the stage for doubts. And, you know, the government and the people in the Kenya Kwanza side need to come out clear and assure us that the elections, they are not going to interfere with the election, and they are going to allow the IEBC do their work. The opposition, on the other hand, need to behave better. We cannot afford to manipulate, you know, to amplify lies and all these hula-baloos that I hear, especially from the DCP part of the opposition, where they also say things that do not exist. You know, sometimes you can repeat a lie so many times until it looks like the truth. And therefore, what needs to happen is, as Kenyans, we must push for accountability from IEBC. They look well prepared, but they need to assure us that there's no going to be interference of any sort. Right. If you switch internet in Kenya, because I think we are advanced, I mean, you are not going to switch it forever. People who have collected, I don't know whether you have seen the conversation going on by the young people, by the Gen Zs. They are saying that they are going to take photos of Form 34A, and they are going to post on their Twitter, and they're going to post on their Facebook and everywhere else. We are more empowered in terms of technology. And I expect, even if you switched off the internet, I mean, at some point you have to switch it on.
Right.
You know, and we'll access the results as they are. So please, the people in government need to behave better. And they need to ask the members of parliament and everybody else who supports them to shut up and not engage in fear peddling. That hatujali, hata tukishindwa, tutatangazwa. Hata tukishindwa, tutaiba. That's not the way to go.
Mwalimu Sosion, it is difficult to ignore our neighbors, especially the two who are closest to us. But when their level of democracy is nowhere near ours, yet they are the biggest